The one, the only, Jon Rothstein watched what we all watched when Purdue lost to Kentucky in the exhibition, and I feel a little bit emboldened. I feel a little bit supported because one of our takeaways that did not seem like a consensus takeaway from Purdue circles was that TKR didn't look comfortable in this game. Jon Rothstein saw the same, and he spoke about it for a little breakout segment on his Twitter yesterday. I'm going to play a clip. This is Jon Rothstein beginning with a very big sigh and then talking for about a minute and 16 seconds on Trey Kaufman-Renn's transition back to power forward, as Rothstein called it. Here we go.
When Purdue went to the national championship game in 23-24, Matt Painter that year started Trey Kaufman-Renn at the 4 next to Zach Edey. But you knew you had a player like Mason Gillis in reserve at power forward that could make a three-point shot and extend the defense, away from Zach Edey. This Purdue team so far, it's just one exhibition game, has yet to show that at the 4 spot. It's something I'm looking closely at. Now, Trey Kaufman-Renn produced in this game, had 19 points, had 5 rebounds or so, but you still didn't get the feeling that the offensive harmony was there for Purdue like it was in the past couple of years. And 2 years ago, when Purdue was a team that was a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, when Purdue was a team that went to the Final Four, the biggest thing I took away from Trey Kaufman-Renn that year was this guy's going to, it's good that he's starting and he's going to be a capable 4. He's going to be even better as a 5. And that's what he was last year when he was an All-American and he got about 20 points and 6 rebounds a game. But this is something to monitor closely for Purdue. AJ DeBansa.
Sorry, Frostein's he's like us. He's got next topic ready to go every time. Shout out to Jon Rothstein. Obviously, go follow him. You probably already do if you're a college basketball fan. But found a lot of that interesting. I agree with a lot that he said. I also staunchly disagree with some of the way he's presenting it. He kind of termed this, if I could summarize it, Trey Kaufman-Renn will be even better as a 5. And that's what he was last year for Purdue. The transition back to power forward will be what we need to watch. Does that make sense to you?
No, it doesn't. Just because last year, I think the issue was you needed a better 5 next to TKR at the 4. I think, you and I know, I feel like you and I have a master's degree in speaking on this because we were leading the charge of put TKR at the 5, put TKR at the 5. And then we saw TKR at the 5. We're like, whoa, actually, we take that back. Move TKR back next season, get better 5. Like that was the point of this. Like Jacobson being out last year and then going in the transfer portal this year, getting Clough was to keep TKR at his best position because I think if you put TKR at the 5, I think you're losing things rebounding wise, defensive wise as well. And at the same time, if you're putting TKR at the 5, who are you putting at the 4?
Well, I'm a little lost on this because I don't think this is accurately presenting what happened last year at all. He played the 4 last year.
Right, but it looked like he was playing the 5.
I mean, he played the 5 a little. They went
right.
Super small here and there. We were begging for it at this time last year, but it didn't stay that way because it clearly wasn't good.
Right.
So I guess just the way it's packaged, the implication that 2 years ago, Roststein was oh, he's gonna be at his best at the 5. If that was his pitch, it turned out to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
TKR and Purdue have not been at their best with TKR at the 5.
Right. I mean, okay, but all right, now can I look at this through Roststein's lens?
Yeah, because I got to flip because half of this I agree with what he's saying a lot. It's just laying it out as well, he was better last year at the 5. He didn't play the 5. And also Purdue wasn't good. Why do we care if TKR was good last year when the team was bad.
Right. What about offensively though? TKR at the 5.
That is best for him.
It is best for him, but it's also not best. But it comes with limitations.
He's not a 5. He's 6'9" and can't guard fours.
And to
Like,
me, and to me, this is me trying to be overreaction police to somebody who overreacts to things. If if no, sorry, not Kentucky. If Purdue hit shots, we're not having this conversation.
right.
I didn't think that TKR shots were like I know a couple of them maybe a little, but that's what TKR does. He shoots like the 12-foot push shot. That's his shot. That little push hook thing. That's what he does.
Sure.
It seems
Okay.
like a little bit of an overreaction to the fact that a really good shooting team didn't shoot well.
Yeah, I think this is bigger than that. And people are trying to frame it through the lens of the Kentucky game, when in reality, it's a much more bigger conversation. And look, I know we almost make a breakout video about Trey Kaufman-Renn, something he said, something he did, something someone said about him. Feels like every single day. He's like the most polarizing guy in the country, whether you believe or don't believe in certain elements of his game. One thing's undeniable. He's really valuable. He's really good. He's probably the best post scorer in the country, regardless of if he made or missed his floaters in an exhibition game. But I've always felt that like trying to build around Trey Kaufman-Renn is really complicated. And I think if I could justify that as we've watched him for 3+ years, here's what I would say. The reason, even if Roststein's point, like he'd be better as a 5. Offensively, yeah, that's true. It's why we wanted it a year ago. There's a million reasons that you can't play TKR at the 5. We've just spent an entire year saying Purdue needs to fix their rebounding. Purdue needs to fix their rim protection. Why do you think we're saying that?
Because TKR at the 5 can't do that.
No one wants to pin it on him and say it as explicitly as that, but it's the truth. The idea that he's better at a 5. Guess what? If you employed Trey Kaufman-Renn primarily at the 5, you'd be even worse at your 2 weaknesses that you were bad at last year. So, and then it kind of flipped into like everybody blaming Caleb First, like, oh, you don't fit with TKR. We got to get a better player than Caleb First in here to cover up for TKR. At a certain point, can we just admit that playing TKR at the 4 and wanting him to be a first-team All-American is clunky? Like, I just think that's kind of baked into this. And it doesn't mean it can't work. It doesn't mean you can't win a national championship with it. But, like, if we're talking about the championship season Purdue had, yes, TKR played at the 4. They had an All-American center next to him that's an all-timer that respectfully, whether it was Gillis or TKR, whoever it was, like you were just going to have the best front court play in the country with him. When you try to move on from that team, and now you say, okay, this guy's the All-American we want to build around. And obviously you're building around Braden too, but like in the front court, this guy's a guy we want 20 a game from.
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem with that because if you're trying to find who fits next to him, the answer might kind of be nobody. Like, and this is not meant as disrespect to Clough. I think Clough is very good. Clough is not going to look very good next to TKR individually. And I don't think Purdue cares because they are viewing Clough through the lens of, well, can you cover up for TKR? As long as Clough rebounds and is big, Purdue fans will be happy because he's fixing what TKR can't do. No one's looking at it through the lens of, are you getting the most out of Clough? You're not. Clough was one of the best centers in the country last year, and we're not even going to ask him to do those things because he's playing next to a ball-dominant tiny 4 who can't guard and won't guard. So it's one of those things, like, Edey was so good, we all viewed it like it doesn't matter. When it became like, okay, how do we now play through Trey Kaufman-Renn? It's just been blaming, finger pointing everyone else who can't cover up for what TKR can't do. At what point do we just accept, yes, he's going to get you 20. Yes, you can win games. Yes, you're going to have a number 1 offense, but you're also going to have a pretty bad defense if you want TKR to be an All-American on your team. unless you have Zach Edey there to cover it. But Clough is not Zach Edey. Reminder, Caleb Furst, by the way, who again became the scapegoat of this front court. Did Caleb Furst not start next to Zach Edey for a whole season? And they were the number 1 overall seed in the tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
it's not like he was a nobody. He became a nobody at the end of his career trying to fit next to a guy that's really hard to fit next to. So Roststein is right. We should be monitoring this fit. I totally buy all of that. I just don't like him framing it like TKR is better as a 5. He's not. He is better at the 4, but it has been yet to be proven that that's good for Purdue one way or the other. Trying to play as TKR being like an everything guy may just have complications to it.
And look, no player no player doesn't have flaws, right? Look, the fact of the matter is, like, TKR is one of the best offensive bigs in the country. You're
Right.
fine. You got to just accept that he is that and accept his flaws and understand that there needs to be things surrounding him that need to help him out. And that's okay to say. That doesn't diminish him as a player whatsoever. He just has shortcomings.
Right.
What it is. Um, you bring up an interesting point with Clough, though. And maybe TKR tried to tell us this too. They need to adjust to him. And maybe it is going to take some time to adjust to playing with TKR.
Well, I kind of said this in the Discord, and I think I
Because
mentioned it briefly in the recap, but the way I framed it in the Discord was basically this. At what point do we look at this quote unquote big 3 and just ask ourselves, like, should we be so focused on fitting them? I don't think they necessarily, like, as crazy, like Braden's amazing. All these guys individually are amazing, but like it's kind of an inherently flawed build.
mm-hmm.
If you're going to play those 3 a million minutes, they're going to be really bad defensively. They're going to be really bad at rebounding.
Right.
So like when you have something that's not proven to be championship level and you're so focused on fitting things around it to elevate it, I think you can spend a lot of effort on, like, again, I said this in the recap. Jakari and CJ might be great this year. They're not going to look great.
Mm-hmm.
Clough is a good player, and he looked terrible trying to fit next to this in the first game. So, look, I think they'll figure it out, and they definitely still upgraded this roster. But I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like I almost wonder, the better TKR is individually, does that correlate with Purdue being amazing? Because last year he was the best post scorer in the country, and I was not super happy with their front court. Like, wouldn't it be better if Clough was the guy he was last year and TKR took a minor step back?
My quick answer to that is no.
No. Okay.
No, I think no. But I would monitor.
Okay.
But I think the answer is no.
So we're in agreement with Roststein. Let's just monitor.
Let's monitor.
What does happen? Is this all just a massive overreaction because he missed 2 floaters?
I mean, look, it might be, but also at the same time, that's the type of shot that TKR makes a lot and takes a lot. It's also a low percentage shot in the grand scheme of things. Also, there are front courts that look at that and be like, that's a shot we're getting. That's fine. We'll take that. We'll let TKR do a little push shot or whatever it is. I do think it would serve Purdue a little bit though, to your point, maybe to involve Clough more a little bit. Maybe TKR takes a little bit of a semi step back. The issue with that is he won't.
Well, and look, we don't need to fix the Purdue offense either. Purdue's offense is championship level as currently designed. They don't need to get a center more involved. They don't need to get a 2 more involved. But I guess I'm coming around to the vision and the idea here that this 3-man core has more problems with it than people realize, and it's harder to fit next to them than people realize.
Yeah.
Like we thought, oh, Clough's just going to be the guy he was last year, but now next to TKR. Maybe it's really hard to play next to a guy that needs you to do certain things without ever getting the ball offensively. That seems pretty hard, like for any big in the country to do, let alone Clough or First or, I mean, Edie did it because he's Edie. And by the way, they weren't playing through TKR when he did it with Edie, right?
Right. And what did
So,
TKR do with Edie?
right.
Nothing. So yeah, it's a thing.
We'll see. I feel like my brain is broken. I feel like that went a lot of different directions I wasn't even prepared for.
One exhibition.
Roststein's got me in the palm of his hands.